I'm Brian Rosenthal. I'm here with ESPN's Dick Vitale and super fan of the defending ALCS champions Tampa Bay Rays, and he is ready to talk tennis with me. Dick, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing really great, man. Had a great time last night. Went to see some tennis. I went to see the Division I Sweet 16 championships up here in Orlando, and I'll go after I do your interviews. I'm going back out there for today to see the men's action. Yesterday with the women's. I just love tennis.
How about my Wolfpack? My Wolfpack ladies advancing to the Elite Eight for the first time in school history. They take on the Georgia Bulldogs.
Wow, I didn't realize that. They must have played earlier in the day, because last night I saw Duke pulled an upset, beat Central Florida.
Yep.
It was highly rated. And then, North Carolina won 4-1, but it was a lot tougher than that 4-1. There were a couple of matches. California was right there, but Carolina is so good. Really, the coach there does a great job. The Notre Dame grad, Coach Calbas. I really very impressed with them. But Duke had a really great win coming, beating Central Florida. Central Florida was loaded. I think they might have been number 8 in the nation. But
They were.
I saw UCLA play Georgia Tech. UCLA pulled it out. I spent a little time talking with Stella Sampras. I was teasing her a little bit. I said, call your brother. She said, I'm going to send my brother, Peter, the picture of you and I together and tell him what you just said. I said, tell Peter, I will never forget getting a phone call. My wife told me we got a phone call from Nick Bollettieri. And he said, look, Peter's having a tough time practicing at the academy. So everybody wants to stop him for pictures, autographs, all that stuff. Is there any way that he can use your tennis court? So my wife said, of course. So I'm on a trip, right? And I come home with that. She doesn't tell me this. I get out of the car in front of my house and I hear bam, bam, bam. I said, well, can't be my daughters. They're in college. Can't be my wife. She doesn't play. Who the heck's in my yard? So I sneak around. Instead of going through the front door, I go in the back. And I look and I can't believe what I see. Peter Sampras sitting out there with Jimmy Arias, and their coach was there. Was it their coach was Gullickson. He passed away from cancer.
Yep.
But man, it was impressive. So I said, hey, you tell your brother he owes me. I expect to check me out for using my facility.
Well, the women's tennis at Lake Nona is at the highest level. We have 4 teams in the ACC competing for the Elite Eight. Quite impressive for this conference. But we will talk college tennis towards the end, but I want to ask you about back in the day in the 80s, early 90s, your daughters. Why did you move to Florida? Why the Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy?
Well, Brian, what happened with us was we came here on vacation, and my girls were just starting out really playing tennis, and they wanted to try 1 week at the academy. So my wife and I rented an apartment, and we stayed here. They went to the academy, came home every day, and they fell in love with it. And they finally said to me, they were in the 6th grade, then one of them, and my daughter, Sherry, was 6th grade, Terry was 8th grade. And they said, Dad, can't we live here? We were living in Michigan at the time. It was kind of cold in February. And I had gotten fired by the Pistons. So really, I could almost live anywhere. I didn't have family in Detroit, even though I loved the people there. They treated me like family, just beautiful, blue-collar, hardworking people. So I said, you really want to move? They said, yes. I said, well, if we're going to make a move, we got to do it before you go to high school. So we did. We came down here. They went to St. Stephen's and school, and went to school. And their class was Jim Courier, David Wheaton, and they just had a great time. And their game just elevated from nowhere. I mean, when they were back in Michigan and were starting out, I mean, they were getting blitzed by everyone. In fact, I'll never forget my daughter's first match. She goes to a tournament, she played 12 and under tournament. And Sherry goes to the tournament. She has no idea. She got this simple racket. She doesn't have tennis outfit. She's wearing like basketball socks up. And in comes the girl she's going to play. Well, the tournament director recognized me from I was coaching, at that time in Detroit. So I was in the paper quite a bit. He says to me, Dick, I feel so terrible. I said, why? He says, your daughter's playing a girl that's the national champion, 12 and unders. And she's doing it to get a workout. Her name is Amy Frazier. Remember Amy Frazier?
Yeah.
Amy put the blitz on my daughter so bad. I think my daughter almost got what they call the goose, where you don't get a point. She got 1 point.
Golden set.
Yeah, I think Amy double faulted once, and she got 1. She cried and cried in the car. I thought it was the end of her tennis, and she said, oh my God. I said, look, I want you to understand, it can't get any worse, number one. Number two, That girl's in another league. And now we learned a little bit about it. Long story, make it short. We go, they're at the academy. They said that because they used to be like automatics for people to see their name. They go, oh, yeah, we got the Vitale girls. This is an easy win. So they said to me after about, maybe 10 months at the academy, said, can we go back and play in Michigan in one of those tournaments? So they went there, not seeded, and they ended up blowing the competition away. And everybody said, oh, my God. And Nick told me from day one, he said, look, and Nick used to be a rival. And we talked about this just recently. He was at my gala, and we talked about he's telling people, Dick used to come to the academy. He said, Nick, you're not working with my daughters. They see you're always on the next court. He said, Dick, your daughters are going to be able to go to any college they want. They're going to be good players. But those people that I'm on the court with, they're not going to college. They're going to Wimbledon. They're going to U.S. Open. He said, they are special. On the court, I used to watch daily when I go pick up my girls. Andre Agassi, I'd watch David Wheaton, I'd watch Jim Courier, I'd watch, who was really terrific, Martin Blackman, Gardner. Oh, Blackman was phenomenal junior player. So was Chris Gardner. Do you know Chris? Chris Gardner, he's now coaching the Naval Academy. And he was, I'd watch them play. I couldn't believe it. They were like 15, 16 at the time. And then I'll never forget, he gets a 12-year-old girl there. And he says to me, wait till you see this. And I'll never forget Nick doing this. He says to me, I am going to give you a little show here. So he talks to the father, and they talk. I don't know what he said to the father. And basically told me later, he brought over 5 girls. I don't remember exactly their names, but they were all on a tour. They weren't top 5, but there were girls like Susan Sloan, girls like Lisa Bonder. These girls were good players. Real good players. On the tour. And he says to them, serve your second serve to Monica and play the point up. He told me, he whispers over to me, they will not hit the second ball. And sure enough, she's ripping winners. And the girls are there saying, can't we use our first serve? I couldn't believe what I was watching. She was one of the hardest working athletes I've ever seen. He would stop them from working out. The brother would serve like about 150 miles an hour from the tee. He'd serve from the tee of the tennis court and have her return with that make that quick adjustment, short, compact swing. And Nick would get so upset because you're going to break her wrist. You're going to stop that. 5 minutes is plenty. And then all of a sudden, he said, that's it. You had enough? We'd hear 95-degree weather. Bam, bam. She's hitting against a wall by herself, and nobody told her to do it. That's why she became great. And there's no telling how many Grand Slams she would have won had she not had the incident, that stabbing incident, that really curtailed and hurt her big time as a player.
Well, you've kind of dove right into a question I was going to ask you, because Nick Bollettieri called me last week, and when he found out that we're going to do this show, and he said, baby, you need to ask Dick about the time he spotted Monica Seles. So, we'll talk briefly. You just hit on Seles there, but was Seles the most talented female player that you ever saw coming out of that academy?
Well, her hand-eye coordination, going 2 hands both ways. She was just, I think it was her mental toughness was off the charts. And then he would, one time I brought a bunch of professional athletes with me. Hal McRae, baseball player, was a neighbor of mine. And a bunch of us went down to watch her hit. And he says, I'm going to give you a real show, Nick says. And he calls Andre. And Andre and her banging the ball, no serving, just baseline to baseline. It was a sight that was unbelievable. I had so many great memories. People don't realize, I get associated obviously with basketball. That's my love and that's my life, but in terms of my living. But I love tennis, and right now I got a granddaughter, Ava. She's in the 9th grade, and she loves tennis. And we're hoping that she can get situated with a great college when she becomes a high school senior. She's only in the 9th grade now, but she's rated. I believe they told me last night. Some people were telling me, I didn't even know this. Somebody was interviewing me at the tennis center, saying, your granddaughter is rated, I think, was 7 or 8 in the nation in her age group.
Wow. Yeah, Chris was telling me about her and the major potential that she has, and he's very excited. He's had a chance to work with all your grandchildren. And before we dive into them, because I do want to hit on them, is there a junior tennis tournament in Florida for your daughters that you can recall? Anything that resonates, state closed, designated, a special moment? Because that's what a lot of the people in our Facebook group. They all played Florida tennis in the 80s and 90s, and they probably would love to hear you say something about one of these classic tournaments.
Yep, it was one over in California. They went to play. They went to play before they would play the actual national tournament, and everybody plays up in San Rafael, California, and everybody played the pre-tournament. So it's loaded with all national players. And my daughters weren't seeded. My daughters were in the draw, and my daughter wins the first match. This is unbelievable. She's getting crushed by a girl that should never, ever crush her. Never. Should have been a heck of a match. And she's getting beat like first set 6-1, second set. The girl stopped moonshot. Sherry hit the ball hard. And the girl had obviously very good coaching. And they told her to take the pace away. And the girl's hitting these unbelievable moon balls and backing Sherry to the fence. And she violated everything she was ever taught, was take the ball out of the air, put it away, and end the damn thing. So anyway, we figured maybe, and our sisters watches, what is Sherry doing? There's no way this girl should be beating her like that. And then all of a sudden, second set, the same thing. She's down about 5-1. And all of a sudden, she accuses Sherry of taking a point away from her. That she won this point, and it's her point, and she stormed it and that. I mean, she's up like 5-1. That's a little bit of years ago, but I know my daughter was getting blitzed, and she runs and goes get a lines judge, and the lines judge said, "Well, okay, we'll play from this point on. You're up 5-1. Serve, finish this match." No. She was a girl from, I think she was from Germany. She was here on as a student, just playing here with a family, stay with a family. Nice girl, but she got so upset. She refused to play. She said, "I am not playing. I've won that point. The match is over. I've won that point." And she walked off, and the people are trying to talk to her. She won her. Hey, get back on the court. So she wins by default. Here's the amazing story. Here's the amazing story, Brian. She ends up going and wins the tournament. Sherry
no kidding. Sherry wins the tournament.
Yeah, she wins the tournament. Wow. And funny part about it, you're not going to believe this. The greatest tournament we've seen for us as a family, she and her sister, opposite ends of the draw, they end up in a real big-time tournament, quality tournament, and they end up playing each other in the championship. Now, as a father, you're sitting there, you're wondering who the heck you root for both girls, but one of them's going to be unhappy, one's going to be happy. And it was a big one because whoever wins, they do a feature on them. And at one time, they don't have the magazine anymore. I think it was called Tennis Magazine or something. It was a big time magazine in tennis. And they feature a junior kid that wins this tournament. So I'm hoping that my girl that's a junior in high school beats her sister that's a freshman. I never told her this, but I'm always, she got to win. She get publicity like crazy, help her with recruiting and all. And it's a 3-set battle. And Sherry wins like some crazy score, 10-8 in the third, and she wins the tournament. And Terry and her didn't talk for about an hour or two. And then finally they hug each other. And, what we learned from tennis, though, it's really helped them in life. The discipline. You mentioned Chris. Chris did a great job, Chris Marquez, with our kids when they were young. He set the tone for them. And then as they kept getting bigger, a little bit more advanced, doing a little more advanced playing where some top-notch kids are. But Chris is a good teacher and does a terrific job. And I can't thank them enough. And I think the one great thing we had going in our family, my daughters and my son-in-laws handle it very well. They really do, because Brian, junior tennis can be a nightmare in some cases. I mean, an absolute nightmare.
It is. It's mentally difficult for many kids. There's so many ups and downs. Let me just say this. Sherry Vitale in a big tournament down a set in 5-1. Her opponent defaults because she's not happy with what the tournament referee did to get the score back. This is a PSA for my future opponents. If you're beating me a set in 5-1, I would like you to default as well. I want that victory too. I want it too, Dick. That's I've never heard that in my whole life of tennis. I've never heard of someone walking up.
And she was winning easily. I don't know if it was a language barrier that created a problem for her. Yeah, sure. But all I know is he timed her. He was trying to be so good with her because of the language factor. And then finally, he just, look, you got to get out there to play. And I have to put a clock. And she walked off. She put her sneakers on. She walked out. And funny part about it, here's the other part now. Now you go to the national was the hard courts, I
Hardcore at
guess.
San Diego.
And
Yeah.
who does my daughter Terry get? In the first round, her sister, she gets the same girl. And she says, she ain't going to throw those lobs to me. I'll tell you that right now. And Terry won easily. But that's this tournament we shook our head. We used to look at the trophy. we we looked at that trophy. So that's amazing. That trophy sitting there had no right to be there.
That's incredible. What a story. Let's transition to your grandsons. They are coming to 15501 Tobacco Road. They're heading to Duke. How excited were you when you learned that your grandsons were selecting the Ramsey Smith coach men's tennis team at Duke?
I wasn't excited at all. To be very honest with you, very disappointed. I'm going to tell you why. Nothing to do against Duke, nothing against certainly Coach Smith does a great job, but we have such a family tradition at Notre Dame. We have 8 degrees at Notre Dame, 8. We have 9 if you count me. They gave me an honorary alum degree. And a lot of people don't know this. We also, my wife and I, years ago, gave them a large amount of money as an endowment. I was so pleased. My daughter's going there free. They room, board, books. They were in Title IX, and they got everything. And Notre Dame treated them like royalty. So we went to them. They didn't come to me asking for money. I went there. So is there anything? I was doing very, very well financially, and all. Is there anything I could do for the university? I'd like to start so we have an endowment. And the endowment is geared to kids that participate in activities that don't get scholarships. So at the end of the year, they take the interest off the principal of that and distribute it to a number of youngsters. I have one rule: they go to kids that participate in activities like the band, the cheerleaders, the mascots. Those people don't get scholarships, and they put time like you can't believe. And I've received some beautiful letters from some kids. So based on all of that, I'll be honest with you. Since the 8th grade, they've, coach down there at Notre Dame has known about him. Ryan, Ryan's a terrific coach. Yep. And he knew all about them, and he liked them from when he seen them play, came to watch them in the hard courts at Kalamazoo, and each won 4 matches there, and their junior year, I believe it was. And he, no question, he wanted them from day one. And when their junior year, he was the first to call. 12 midnight was the time you could start talking to juniors. And at 12 midnight, he called, and Duke followed. They were getting calls all night. But the bottom line is, they wanted to visit. And I said, well, why are you visiting? You know where you're going to go. I said, all family, they go to Notre Dame. That's our school, man. Our school. No, we want to visit. So they visited. They visited Michigan. They visited Florida. They visited Notre Dame, but they really needed to visit there. Their father played quarterback at Notre Dame in '96. Their mother played tennis at Notre Dame, went back and got her master's there. Their aunt played there. She went and got her master's. Their uncle played lacrosse there. Their cousin is there as a freshman right now as a walk-on on the tennis team. And their other cousin, her brother, just committed to Notre Dame for lacrosse. So Notre Dame has been big with us. So I was stunned. They visited Duke, Michigan, Florida, Notre Dame, and I'm trying to think, what was that? They visited 5 schools, and I can't think of the 5th one right now. But the bottom line is, when the visits were over, they wanted to make their decision. They're into their junior year. They wanted senior year, just concentrate on playing. So they're all great schools. You can't go wrong. So they come over to my house. I said, Papa, we're ready to make our decision. I said, well, what decision? I said, we know where you're going. You got your trips out of your way. You've egos or whatever. Kids all got these egos. They want to visit and feel important. So anyway, they said, no, we made our decision. Where you going? I'm going to Duke. I said, you're going to Duke? Why Duke? I said, I don't understand it. What does Duke have over Notre Dame? They're both the same. They're both great schools academically. Both have outstanding coaches. We got familiarity, man. Our family is really in big time at Duke, at Notre Dame. But why? I don't understand. Give me a reason. And they had a great reason. I mean, a really great reason. I hugged them, wished them well, and I hope and pray things work out for them. But the reason was very simple. They said, Papa, my mother grew up in Michigan. My aunt grew up in Michigan. They played in that cold weather, and they were acclimated, so it didn't bother them. I just can't tolerate the thing of going playing in January, February, and playing constantly indoors. So we want to play outdoor tennis more, and there's more outdoor tennis down at Duke, and we're going to go to Duke. And I hugged him, I wish them luck. I said, that's a heck of a reason. It's good thinking, and they got to make their own decisions in life too. And certainly Ramsey's a terrific coach, and I know they're excited. Jake had a little bit of an injury. He was out for about, 14 months. He came back about two months ago. He's playing really well, knock wood now. And I hope he stays healthy, but he broke his wrist and then he had some complications there, but everything seems to be fine now. And that's the one thing with tennis people don't realize. Connor, the sophomore year, was out for better than a year with a back problem. And tennis really is a grueling thing, boy, on the legs, the knees, the shoulders, the elbows. I mean, it really is grueling. It's not just the hours they put in, Brian. I can't begin to tell you the discipline. They go every day from 7 to 10 in the morning, and then they go in the afternoon. Now they're training under, you might know him, Chris knows him. He played on a pro tour. It might have been in top 60, 70 in the world when he played. Mauricio Haddad. Do you know that name?
Yeah.
He's coached a lot of big time players like Sharapova. He's coached Watson, a young lady from out of England. He's coached a lot of, so he's coaching right now my granddaughter Ava, and he's also now coaching the boys, Connor and Jake, in the afternoons.
Well, that's a good reason why to go to Duke. Listen, I'm from Florida. I'm a Florida guy, obviously, run the Florida tennis page, but I came here because of primarily I loved the natural fit of NC State, but the weather. I mean, come on, January, February, you have days where you can play outdoors,
right?
To up there in South Bend. But let me say this about Notre Dame. I've been to a lot of campuses as a tennis player and as a fan of football, visiting football stadiums. It's the most special place in our country to visit. Game weekend at Notre Dame. There's nothing like it.
We go 3 times a year, even to today. For 3 football weekends. When my daughters were in school, this is a true story. My wife and I did not miss one football weekend for the 4 years they were in school there. In fact, I'll take it one step further, 6 years, because they both came back, got their masters. And we did not miss. I closed my calendar. I would not take speaking engagements. I told the Washington Speakers Bureau, who I've been with for over 35 years, and booked me all over this nation. And I tell them, close my calendar. Dick, they'd say to me, there's a lot of money out there. Are you kidding me? This is a time you're free, September. I said, I don't care. No. I'm going. I love it. I always bring somebody that was good to me in my career, growing up as a young guy chasing dreams. I always call and I bring them. I'm going on a private plane. We go on a Thursday night. We go there Friday, walk the campus, go to the pep rallies. I've spoken at a number of pep rallies, and then we go to the games, and it's just the Golden Dome. Something about it gives me goosebumps, man. You're right. It is one of the great weekends. People should put that. I would recommend people that love sports, put that on your calendar, go to a basketball game at Cameron Indoor Stadium and go to a basketball game at Allen Fieldhouse. Those played Kansas. Those are just incredible. It's like Wrigley Field, Fenway Park, just special places.
Yeah, I have not been to KU. That is definitely on my slate of college basketball venues to go to. I've been to Cameron, been to the Dean Dome, obviously, but KU is special. Last thing for you, Dick, before you head out to watch the Sweet 16 in the men's tennis tournament, I believe we have Tennessee versus Arizona. UGA, UNC will start the day there at Lake Nona. Lakewood Ranch ITA Clay Court Championships. Is that coming back next year?
We hope it does. We were going to have it this year, but then the schools really having a little tough time with travel and all because of the pandemic. But we definitely plan on having it. The Dick Vitale Tennis Center there. I think I love the most about it. I throw a big bash at my house the day after on Saturday night. Annually, I throw a bash at my house. My wife and I take care of it for the kids, and I speak at it. I usually bring Nick Bollettieri's been there to speak, and I love talking to all the young players about chasing dreams and goals and try to let them understand there's more in life than hitting that tennis ball. Use tennis in a positive manner. Don't get caught up to be one-dimensional. Don't let it rule your life. Let it be an important part of your life, but don't let it define who you are as a person. And that's one of the problems that exists. The one thing that I used to always get very annoyed about when was junior tennis when my girls played. If you had a great weekend and you won, they were all in one corner, and the kids that lost would get in the other corner. And I told my daughters, win or lose, I expect you to act the same. There's no difference. Okay, I don't care about that. The win and walk around like they're the greatest in the world, and you can't have that feeling. It's just not the way life is. Life is ups, downs, life's tough times. I've had tough times. I lost my eye as a kid. I thought it was the end of the world. So what do you got? You got no other option but to go on. I was lucky to have a great mother and father, uneducated, fifth grade, but they had a doctorate of love. And they told my brother, sister, and I in this great country that if you're good to people, see, one thing, I mentioned this, we had my gala just recently. We raised $6.5 million for kids battling cancer. And I love giving back. I love helping. And I said when I spoke to that sellout crowd, I said to them, what's missing in our country is what this room is filled with. This room tonight is filled with so much love, great stars in the room, championship coaches, Bruce Arians, Nick Bollettieri, Lou Holtz, Muffet McGraw, Scott Drew, Baylor. The room was filled with greatness and all came free of charge. All came, paid their own expenses. Why? Because they love people and they love kids and they want to help people using their fame in a positive manner. And I said, we need more of this in our nation. Our nation's filled with too much hate, too much hate. I don't care if you're white, black, whatever you are, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, whether you're Jewish. We need more people loving one another, caring about one another. And we don't have enough of that. And that room we had on Friday night was filled with so much love. And you could feel it. You could feel the emotion. And to me, this is what we have to have more of, extending a hand to one another, caring about one another. And I think my mother told me as a kid, Brian, I will never forget two things. She used to tell me when I lost my eye as a kid, she'd say, Richie, was never Dick, was Richie, never ever believe in camp. Don't allow camp to be part of your life. You could be somebody someday. You got energy. She'd always say, you got energy in her own uneducated way, but you had a doctorate of love, and so did my dad. And then she'd say to me all the time, and they would say, my dad was the same thing. We'd eat dinner. I learned more at my dinner table than any damn class I ever took. I learned about love. I learned about family. I learned about tough times. I learned about work ethic. My dad pressed coats in a factory from 7 in the morning to 5 almost every day. Pressed coats in a sweat factory. And the more coats he pressed, the more he made. And then he would come home, eat, and put a security guard uniform on and go walk the Bergen Mall and as a security guard. I mean, that was a learning experience, me watching all that. And I just can't emphasize that enough to people. Just have within your heart goodness, help friends, help people that are struggling. I mean, it's really a great feeling. You make them feel good, and I think you'll feel a lot better. But I just always hear, Richie, be good to people, and people will be good to you. Hey, Brian, I can't run. I can't jump. I can't shoot. I got a body by lasagna, linguine, you name it. And I'm in 14 Hall of Fames. 14. Amazing. Every Hall of Fame, from the Basketball Hall of Fame, the Broadcasting Hall of Fame, where I coached in college, where I coached in high school, where I grew up as a kid, the Italian Hall of Fame. And you know why? Because all my life, I'm 81 now, and I'll match my energy with any 25-year-old. All my life, I've had passion and I've had pride in whatever I did in life. And I always try to treat people like I want to be treated. If we all did that, Brian, if we all treated people like we want to be treated, man, we'd have a better nation.
Well said, always inspiring. But Dick, how's your serve? All those Hall of Fames mean nothing if you can't serve. Can you serve still?
You know what? That's my best part of my game. I can't move anymore. I can't move anymore like that. But Chris will tell you, I got two things that help me. And I play all these young ladies. And man, I play them because I used to play the guys, and I'd be on the court, and in 2 minutes I'm there. What about Carolina? What about Duke? What's happening out there?
Yeah.
What are they doing? Yeah. What's Kentucky doing? So I told the guy who books me matches, please don't get me these guys. And he got me all these ladies. Half of them don't even know what I do, what I did. But my two things that saved me when I play singles. I do not play doubles.
Okay.
And my serve and my drop shot. I got no backhand. Ask Chris about my drop shot. On clay court, man, I throw that spin on that drop shot, and it helps me. But my game has went south, man. It's no longer what it used to be.
All right. If I visit Chris down there at that club, I want a piece of you, one-on-one in singles. I'm going to look out for your drop shot.
Well, you'll crush me. You'll crush me. But you know what? You wouldn't be the first, and you wouldn't be the last.
Well, Dick, I can't thank you enough for joining me here. I know you're a busy man. You got the tournament, the NCAA tournament, beautiful Lake Nona, all the great tennis on tap today from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Do you have any predictions on the women's and men's side you want to throw out in the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think Carolina on a women's side, I watched them last night. They're super strong, so I think they're going to prevail. I haven't seen enough of the men. I got a message yesterday from Coach Tucker, who I think does a great job at Ohio State. They were not even seeded. I don't understand that. They're like 23-2. I think they lost to Illinois. I'm looking forward to the match tonight. Illinois and Florida. I mean, the Gators obviously a big time favorite. Coach Shelton does a great job, man. Great job. He's the only coach I believe to ever win men's and women's if he wins the national title.
That's
and they
correct.
have. I think they're like 25-2, and Illinois could be in trouble. Illinois won the Big Ten. They beat Ohio State this year. Hey, Brian,
Illinois is underseeded at 16. I think that's a rough matchup for Illinois down there in Central Florida in that heat. I kind of had them, 11, 12, 13 in my opinion. So they're matching up with the number one seed. But listen, you're gonna have to get through Florida to win this tournament. You may as well play them tonight.
Right. I'll be sellout crowd too, because all the Gator fans will be flocking that place tonight. But I want to just tell you this. Please tell your people they can help me big time raise money for kids. It all goes through my buddy's foundation, Jimmy V, the V Foundation. And all they're going to do is go to dickvitale.com. If they buy any of my merchandise, my books, my latest book, The Lost Season, my book on the best players, my Mount Rushmores of college basketball, coaches and players, any of the merchandise, hats, basketballs, every dollar, not 60 cents, not 70 cents, every dollar that I would make from the sale of any of those items goes in the pot toward my goal, which was this year $5 million, and we raised $6.5 million. But it all goes for kids battling cancer. They also, if they just want to make a donation to the V Foundation, right there in the front of my website, dickvitale.com, they can do it. So I appreciate, Brian, if you can let them know that.
I will plug that for sure. The V Foundation, Jimmy V, we all know him. Go Wolfpack. And Dick, thank you again. I had a great time. This was very inspiring.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate being on. And Chris told me all about you. He speaks highly of you.
Thank you so much. Have a great week ahead down there in Orlando.